Chapter 3. Jack the Ripper? Picard replied incredulously. Are you serious? Jack the Ripper lived on Earth centuries ago. Kirk shook his head. So we thought. It turns out that the Ripper was a human inhabited by an incorporeal entity that, he raised his hand, is who knows how old, or where it originated from. Regardless, as man moved out from Earth, it went too. It was responsible for several murders when we came across it. It claimed to be an undying hunger, and even Spock said that it could not die. But I thought we had rendered it as powerless as possible when I ordered it beamed into space at widest dispersion. And how could this entity be the cause of these rifts, even if it somehow... Picard caught himself. It was able to inhabit a computer, wasn't it? Kirk nodded. Yes. You have encountered something similar? Picard nodded. Yes. Shortly after I became captain of my enterprise. I understand your concern. If this entity could have reformed somehow and reached Gateway. An impossible thought, considering it was energy only and powerless with no way to propel itself, much less at warp speeds. But if it did reach Gateway, it may have taken over the Guardian. Still, if true, it means that Red Jack has somehow reworked or perhaps reactivated the Guardian in ways that we did not know possible. The comm beeped. Captain, message coming in from Mr. Gustav, ultraviolet code. Thank you, number 1. Open communications. The view screen flickered and a slightly static image of Gustav appeared on one side of the screen. Admiral Benson on the other, Reagan on the third. All three gaped as their view came up. My God, it is James Kirk, Gustav said with disbelief, the Admiral voicing a similar response. Kirk smiled and nodded. Mr. Gustav, Admiral Benson, and Captain Reagan. Even after Jean-Luc told us about your presence, I still had my doubts, Benson said honestly, that the real James T. Kirk could still be alive after all of these years. Kirk smiled slightly. You say that now. Wait until I add up all the back pay Starfleet owes me. Back pay? Benson asked, then realized the joke. Yes, well, you have been told that we don't use money anymore. No money? Kirk replied, actually surprised. That will make it difficult to buy a round of drinks, won't it? Buy? Kirk, when news gets around that you're still alive, you'll be able to get anything you want just for asking, Reagan said with a smile. Gentlemen, Gustav cut in, I hate to end this banter, but my team has just landed outside the compound on Gateway. Let me patch you in. Commander Warner is in charge of the team. He has an open comm. There was a notable disturbance in the audio as the new channel was added. Over the comm, the gathered men heard a faint sound of wind and quiet voices. Then an authoritative female voice sounded out. We have reached the door to the main structure. So far, there has been no trace of anyone. There was a quiet door swish. It is dark inside. Computer, lights. Computer? It seems that systems are down. Wrist lights, formation J. Entering the structure. There was a long pause, but then a loud gasp. By the gods. Alert 4. Sir, we're looking at a slaughterhouse here. 3 personnel are dead. Blood spatter all over the walls and floors. Looks like they were stabbed or knifed to death. Perhaps Klingon-bladed weapons. Rodriguez, take Earl and explore the right corridor. Haskins, Forsyth, the left. Klingons? Kirk asked at the news. Gustav shook his head slightly. Warner, can you confirm Klingon involvement? There was a pause. Negative. Deaths were caused by a bladed weapon of some type, but there is no evidence of Klingon DNA. No sign of advanced weapons use. A quiet voice was heard. Rodriguez reports 2 dead. They appear to have been tortured before being killed with a bladed weapon. Rodriguez, go outside and check the perimeter. Haskins, report. Again there was a quiet voice. 1 dead. This one was tortured by a phaser set on low power. Rodriguez, regroup and meet us outside. This is not sounding good, Kirk said. This is exactly what I would expect if Red Jack was responsible. What was that, Captain Kirk? The Admiral asked. Do you know who or what is responsible for this? I'm not sure, Kirk admitted. Right now it's just a theory, though I can't see how it is possible. What is it, Kirk? Gustav cut in. I have a team there, if you know about any hazard they may run into. Going outside to search the other structures, but tricorders indicate no life, came the voice of Warner, cutting off Kirk's response. Gentlemen, Kirk started, I encountered an entity on Argelius that claimed to be Jack the Ripper, also known as Red Jack, and various other aliases. In short, it was responsible for several mass murders as humans moved from Earth into space. I thought it destroyed, but the deaths on Gateway are exactly what it would do. But why? Gustav asked. Kirk frowned. It feeds on death, on the fear of death. Gustav spoke to his team. Warner, there may be some entity present on Gateway that is responsible for the killings. It can inhabit other bodies and computers, Kirk added. Gustav repeated the new information to his team. The response back was not heartening. We have accounted for all but 3 bodies, sir. Rodriguez and his team are headed for a slight radiation source a little distance from here. So far, if records are accurate, we are missing Lieutenants Margaret Giles and Skell, and Lieutenant Commander Ben Dandridge. Sir, the runabout is also missing. Damn, Gustav said. Very well, Commander. Once your survey team is back, continue your investigation, but, he spoke with deadly earnest, maintain groups of 3 people or more. Do not, I repeat, do not allow any individual or pair to go off on their own. I will send 2 backup teams to help secure the area and get back to you on your next move. Commander, this is a Code 4 emergency. Understood, sir. Warner out. So, we have survivors or a perpetrator in the runabout, Admiral Benson said. Captain Kirk, how did you stop this Red Jack when you encountered it? Once it returned to its host body, I had it beamed into space on wide dispersion. My first officer said that the being could not die, but that transporting it out like that was the closest we could get to rendering it harmless. So even if we catch it, our weapons would be useless, Reagan asked. It may be possible to contain the entity, Data replied. Although energy cannot be destroyed, we can alter it, contain it, or perhaps separate it enough that it could not reform. However, I must point out that if this is Red Jack, then we are dealing with a unique, sentient life form, no matter how deadly it may be. Federation law may not allow us to destroy it. That comment caught everyone by surprise. Picard prepared to counter Data's comment, but then remembered that he had tried to save and communicate the crystalline entity that had been responsible for who knows how many deaths. Still, if their dealings with the Borg had taught them anything, sometimes there was simply no choice. Then we contain it if possible, destroy it if necessary, Benson said. Either way, we cannot have this thing running loose. While I respect Commander Data's opinion, Kirk commented, such is not the first time I have heard a similar argument. Red Jack is a murderous being, not a mindless predator. Killing a few individuals is one thing, but if this is Red Jack, and he is controlling the Guardian, I see little choice in doing what we must to stop it. It no longer seems confined to killing a few people. It has now destroyed 2 world populations. Who knows how many more deaths it will be responsible for. Worse, if Red Jack controls the Guardian, Picard added, there's no limit to the damage it could do to history. If it feeds on fear and death, as Captain Kirk has said, imagine the power it would gain by sending a Borg ship a few hundred years into the past. Even a small army of Borg drones let loose on Earth or Teller would send the populace into panic. Kirk, It seems that you know far more about this Red Jack and the Guardian than any of us, Gustav said. We recognize the possible dangers, but this is something we are not used to dealing with. I propose that you are put in charge of the mission. Tell me what you need, and I'll get it done. Kirk looked at Picard and the Admiral, but they simply nodded their assent. Very well. First, I would like to make sure that the Guardian has some bodyguards. If Red Jack isn't there now, he'll return. Gustav nodded. Agreed. Captain Reagan, I think it best to reassign you and the Swift Eagle to Gateway and set up a blockade. I'll have a team planet side, you cover space. Reagan nodded. Send me the coordinates and we'll set course. Sent, Gustav said. He turned back to Kirk. What else? Have you had any luck using a telepath to contact the Guardian? Kirk asked. Gustav shook his head. To record, only one telepath has made contact with the Guardian. Spock, Kirk said with assurance. Any chance of getting him involved? Last report still have him on Romulus, Benson replied. I'm not sure if we can do anything or not, especially if time is of the essence. How about Montgomery Scott? That may take even longer, Benson said. Wherever and whatever he's doing, it's been quiet. Since we were told of your reappearance, I ran some checks on your crewmates. Nothing has shown up for Scott for months. Put out a public notice about my presence, and I'm sure Scotty will show up somewhere and try to make contact. Although, if I contact one person, he may lead me to Scotty. Kirk thought a moment. On second thought, Admiral, if this is Red Jack running around, it may not be smart to let him know I am around. Perhaps you should send out a wanted notice on Scotty and see what shows up. Kirk saw the expression on the other men. Gentlemen, I know that time seems of great importance, but until we find your missing officers from Gateway, or somebody tries to get past the Swift Eagle, there's little that we can do other than wait for another appearance. One other thought, Picard added. What about Katamok and the Klingons? He was sent to help by Gowron himself. Did we tell him that we don't need him and send him back in dishonor? Considering the secrecy of the Guardian, Gustav answered, I see little choice than to do just that. Kirk frowned a bit. He could fully understand the need for secrecy, but he also felt a little responsible for Katamok. He certainly didn't want to send him back to the Empire with his tail between his legs. If I may, he finally said, I think Katamok may be helpful. We can certainly use his ship to help cover the sector should more rifts appear. Let me talk to him and see what kind of help we can get without exposing too much. Do you think that is wise? Benson asked. Kirk nodded. Wise? I'm not sure, but I do think it may be necessary. Besides, if living with Klingons this long has taught me anything, it's how serious they take their honor. If Katamok gave his word of honor not to reveal anything we told him, he would die before doing so. Gustav was still not convinced. Honor notwithstanding, I am very hesitant against informing the Klingons, even one, about Gateway. I think you are overlooking one advantage that the Klingons may give us over Red Jack, Kirk added. Oh? Gustav asked with skepticism. And what would that be? Does the phrase, today is a good day to die, mean anything to you? Kirk answered with a smile. I don't know of any people less afraid of death than Klingons.